The storm rolled across the Arizona plains like a wild beast, tearing at the sky with claws of lightning and a roar of thunder that shook the lonely ranch on the edge of the desert. Inside, old lanterns flickered against the log walls as Daniel Wade, a weather-worn rancher with silver hair and a steady heart, poured another cup of coffee to fight off the chill. He had been alone for years now, ever since the border wars had taken his family and left him with nothing but the land, his horse, and a promise to live quietly. But that night the quiet was broken. Through the veil of rain, two shapes appeared at the gate. Women, moving unsteadily through the mud. Daniel squinted through the glass, disbelief painting his face. He opened the door, lantern in hand, and stepped out into the downpour. There, standing before him, were two Apache sisters, both soaked to the bone, their faces pale from cold but proud, unbroken. "Please," the older one said in a trembling voice, "we need shelter. Our camp was burned. We have nowhere else to go." For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. The old scars between settlers and Apache still ran deep, and trust was a rare currency in those parts. But when he saw the younger sister shivering uncontrollably, his heart overruled his caution. "Come inside," he said quietly. "No one deserves to freeze out here." They stepped into the warm glow of the cabin. The storm's fury became a dull roar behind the thick wooden walls. Daniel handed them blankets, then knelt by the fire to stir the embers back to life. "You can stay here till the morning," he said. "There's stew on the stove and dry clothes by the hearth." The sisters looked at each other, uncertain, wary, but hunger and exhaustion finally won. As they ate, Daniel sat across the room, watching the firelight dance on their faces. The older one introduced herself as Naira, and the younger, Tala. Their village had been caught between warring bands, and everything they'd known was gone. "We've been walking for 2 days," Naira said softly. "We didn't think we'd find anyone who'd even open the, door." Daniel looked down at his weathered hands and replied, "You're safe here. I don't turn folks away, not anymore." The wind howled outside, shaking the shutters. Hours passed. The sisters dozed near the fire, wrapped in quilts, while Daniel sat by the window, rifle across his lap, eyes fixed on the horizon. He wasn't just guarding them. He was guarding the fragile peace that moment represented, a white rancher and two Apache women sharing a roof, something that, in those days, could ignite fury in any town. When dawn finally broke, the storm had passed, leaving behind a world washed clean and silent. Steam rose from the wet earth and sunlight painted the hills gold. Daniel stepped outside to feed the horses, but when he turned, he saw the sisters standing by the doorway, their faces bright with gratitude. "We'll be leaving soon," Naira said. "We've already asked too much." Daniel shook his head. "You haven't asked for anything I wouldn't give again," he said. "The world's hard enough without us making it harder for each other." He offered them food for their journey, bread, dried meat, and a small flask of water. But before they left, Tala hesitated. "Why did you help us?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it," he said. "And I swore I'd do the same if I ever got the chance." Naira stepped forward, her eyes glistening. "Then may the spirits remember your kindness," she whispered. "You gave us more than a roof. You reminded us there's still good left in this land." The sisters disappeared down the trail, their figures growing smaller against the wide sunlit plains. Daniel stood there long after they were gone, feeling something stir in him he hadn't felt in years. Hope. For the first time since the war had taken everything, he believed the world could heal, not through strength or pride, but through simple acts of mercy. That night, when the stars returned to the sky, Daniel lit the lantern again and placed it by the window, a quiet signal to any lost soul who might wander through the desert storms. The flame flickered against the glass, a small light in the vast darkness, and he whispered to the wind, "You're welcome here." The land would always be wild. The storms would always come. But as long as one man was willing to open his door, there was still a chance for redemption on the frontier. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful Western stories about courage, compassion, and redemption. Every story we tell here reminds us that even in the toughest times, kindness can change everything. Subscribe now, and be part of our growing family of storytellers and dreamers.